Hey, this is Mark A. Altman.
And this is Darren Doctorman. And Ashley Miller is on assignment. But we are two-thirds of the Inglorious.
Treksperts. And yeah, Ashley's on a secret mission to Romulus negotiating a peace. But,
You don't say he's at Romulus. That's the secret.
oh, damn it. Okay,
Oh,
well, I don't know. I don't know if he'll be able to pull it off.
he's
He'll say something stupid, and then
he's
all of a
off
sudden,
talking to Malachi Throne on Romulus.
that's right. It'd be a better episode than Unification was, I'll tell you that. Hello. You just,
Hi.
uh, you just got back from Wonderfest, didn't you?
And boy, are my arms tired.
How was that? Tell us a little about the wonder of Wonderfest.
Well, it's always a wonder at Wonderfest. It's a
It's
much
a small wonder convention?
it's always a small convention.
No,
And
a small wonder.
That's so great about it. It's a small wonder, uh, and she's a miracle, and I grant you, she'll enchant you at first sight. No, it's nothing like that. Look, Wonderfest is held in Louisville, Kentucky every year, and it's basically a gathering of model builders, both professional and non-professional, and it's really a fun hang. It's some amazing models that are put in the main contest, uh, and all plastic, not the posing kind.
Hmm.
Uh, but the same.
That's the convention I go to.
Sure.
No.
And the same wonderful people that we see other places are there. Robin Curtis was there.
Oh,
The lovely Judy from
Judy,
Austin
Judy.
Space. Marta Kristen was there. She was delightful.
Oh, that's nice.
And of course,
Had you met her before?
well, I briefly, but never got to spend time with her like I did this time. Uh,
That's cool.
it was great. Of course, the great Greg Nicotero always makes it there, and
Yeah, he'll be on deck 78 soon too. So,
correct.
yeah.
William Stout, the amazing designer and illustrator and
Hmm.
comic book artist, and of course, our friend Nick Tate from
Yeah, he's going to be at
1990.
the Las Vegas, and it's getting close. In August, he'll be with us.
Absolutely. And another big guest was Joe Alves, the production designer on
Oh,
Jaws
really?
and Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I got to talk with him
Wait,
about,
you forgot his best credit, director of Jaws 3D.
well, yeah, I would leave that for him to tell. But
Okay.
I got to talk with him about our mutual friend, now passed away, George Jensen, the illustrator
Hmm.
who did those magnificent illustrations for Close Encounters and magnificent illustrations on Master and Commander, where I spent a lot of time with him.
Which
Um,
is finally coming out on 4K UHD
that's
later
what
this year,
I hear.
apparently.
That's what I hear tell. So
That's
I'll finally
exciting.
get that big check. Not at all. Uh, but it's a great hang, and so many wonderful people show up, and it's just a really nice crowd, and I always enjoy the time I spend at
You didn't mention
Wonderfest.
my favorite person, Bill George.
Oh, well, yeah, Bill George
He,
is amongst the crowd at this show.
he
Um,
was there with the Surak.
he
He built the
brought
Surak.
he built the Surak, a one-to-one production scale recreation of the Surak space sled and shuttle, and it was absolutely
I
glorious.
love that thing.
It's beautiful. I didn't get to have my Andy Probert shot with it from in between the nacelles.
Hmm.
Maybe I'll be able to go down and visit him and get that photo taken.
Yeah,
See
I
him
thought that
again.
was really cool.
It's truly some amazing work. And look on YouTube. There are a bunch of people who have documented the models and the people and the and everything that happened at Wonderfest, and it's a lot of fun. And if you like that kind of thing, look into it and join us.
Mm. God, Darren. So I did a 3 hour freaking podcast about Star Trek: The Motion Picture this week. I keep turning down podcasts because I don't have time. But he was a friend of mine from high school. I haven't seen him in 30 something years,
Your
and he
friend.
does a popular podcast, 70 movies we saw in the 70s. He asked me to do Star Trek: The Motion Picture, so I figured, okay, how long is this going to be? So he had on this guy, this stoned film archivist. I don't know what he was the one who picked it, I guess. And this other guy who hated Star Trek the Motion Picture, who only had an LP of this. So it was like, and so we're talking, and it's like going on close to an hour, and I'm thinking, okay, hopefully it's winding up. He says, now let's start going through the film. And I'm like, what the? Was that? I mean, I thought I was never going to get off this podcast. I mean, you can imagine. I'm so sick of talking about motion picture.
You're still on the podcast.
I'm still on the podcast. I mean, it's good. I mean, I think anybody who listens to it will enjoy it. But man, it's like every time I do these podcasts, I think, okay, maybe 45 minutes, 50 minutes. Every time it's like we're getting to the hour mark, and I'm like, okay, are we done? They're like, oh no, we're just starting.
Look, you and I both know that the truth about this is we love talking about this stuff.
No, I don't.
No, you do.
I
know you do.
No, I don't.
I know you
really.
Do.
You say that, but you're not right.
Our friend Brian Mix shanghaied me into doing the podcast with him and his group. So I don't enjoy doing them. I really don't. I like we're 4:30 movies back. So we're busy doing Trekspert, we're doing Tech 78, we're doing 4:30 movie. Occasionally I have a kid stays in the podcast. It's plenty for me. I don't need to talk to anybody else. It's enough. Well, you know, like one word, 2 letters, and it's just say no.
I know. I should.
No. You can say no at any time.
Speaking of saying no, do you ever order Chipotle?
No, I ordered
DoorDash or Postmates or something. Yeah, okay. Do you? Because here's the thing. I really am a big fan. I like it when I go to the restaurant. But I swear, every time I order from the store and they deliver it, it's always this awful chicken. Like it's been sitting there, and it's like probably like they haven't put out the new chicken yet, so it's just like the vestiges. It's like I can't eat it. It's like every time, you know, it's like I like to go to the store and then I can look and see to make sure it's a new vat of chicken. Because if I order it, it always is the worst chicken. I couldn't even eat it. It's such a waste of money. And I'm excited about having my lunch. It's like, okay, the Chipotle is coming, and I ready to dig in, and it's always this overcooked.
You have this magic electronic box that brings you food, and it's still not enough.
No, it's not, because it's not good. It's not good. And I like the Chipotle, but I can only go there in person. They never send me good, fresh chicken. What? It's like, I swear, they wait till the takeout orders, to delivery orders, and they say, okay, this is how we can get rid of the shitty chicken now.
No, they don't wait till the takeout orders. They wait till your order.
Yeah, apparently. I guess so. So frustrating, because I just can't order, because every time it's like, it's not good. But I'll tell you where we did have good meals, in Oklahoma City.
We did.
Yeah. Where did we go that was so good? We went to Teller's with the great Dana Gould. Loved that place.
It was, this is the other restaurant in the old bank building in downtown Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
And it's just glorious. The environment and the food is amazing.
I do love that place.
I enjoyed the food last year when we went there. You didn't as much, but
I thought it was okay. I like the ambience more, but this time the food was just
perfect. You followed my lead
perfect.
and ordered the same thing that I did, and you were justly rewarded.
Which I don't like to do. I don't like to be the second person to order. I like to be the first, so it looks like you're following me. I don't like to look like I'm following the other person. I almost ordered something else because I didn't want to order the same thing you did.
You got to take your ego out of the equation so that you
No, it's not ego. But it was okay. I mean, but the food was really good. Food was good. They had bottled water. I was very happy. And the conversation was great. Dana Gould is on I have on my list of favorite people. He's now on my list of favorite people.
He's on the list, absolutely.
He's on the list. You're on the list, Dana Gould. Great stories, just delightful guy. I didn't know him all that well with Dan Weber. 50 Reasons Why Return of the Jedi Sucks from my old magazine, Sci-Fi Universe.
That was nearly, back 40 years ago? No, not quite.
Boy, Jedi's looking real good compared to a lot of the newer Star Wars, let me tell you.
People didn't listen to me when I said when the prequels are coming out that you're going to be begging for Ewoks. And sure enough, here we are.
You'd be begging for Ewoks. I know. Bring back the Ewoks. It's true. But we had a nice time. Not every meal was great. Like we went back to Red Steakhouse.
Yeah.
Not great. And it was so good the last time.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be bad. You know how I knew?
How?
Because when we walked in, I had a bottle of water with me because I remembered that they didn't have bottled water. And they said, "Oh, you can't bring that in there." I thought the guy was kidding. I was saying, no, it's bottled water. It's not vodka. Just water. Just bottled water. He goes, "Oh, no, you can't go in with that." I was ready to leave at that point. Nobody tells me. Nobody puts my bottled water in a corner.
Luckily, clearer heads prevailed, and
Well, we were hungry.
And you got to realize it's right across the street from the federal building that was bombed. So
well, listen,
there is history there, so there's reasons these things happen.
Well, first of all, I'm glad you mentioned that because we did need to take a second to talk about the federal building. We saw the memorial at night, and it was just very emotional, very just beautifully, just a beautiful way of honoring those who were lost to that, just appallingly heinous act of terrorism. It's just I couldn't get over it. I just they have all these lights for all the people that it was just really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful. It's a hard thing to say, but in the same way the 9/11 memorial is beautiful, tragic, awful thing. I wanted to go to the museum in Oklahoma City. We just didn't have time on Monday once because of our flight. Because I felt to honor the people that were lost. I mean, so many children in that kindergarten. It's just it's awful. It's just awful. And but that doesn't forgive Tellers. It wasn't that close. I mean, not Tellers. The Red Steakhouse. It was two blocks away. And Red Steakhouse, they had no excuse to take my water.
Well, they
might disagree, but
it's fine.
I don't know why you're so. No, I'm done with them. I'm done. If we go back to Oklahoma City next year, and I hope GalaxyCon will have us back, I will not be going to Red Steakhouse, but I would go back to Tellers, definitely.
Well, and we didn't get.
So if you're listening, Tellers,
we didn't get a chance to go back to Bob's Steakhouse that we had the unfortunate experience at last year.
Well, that was the worst.
Yeah, but
terrible service, terrible food, but convenient.
Very convenient. And if you're a regular listener, we try to give places second chances. Just like Thomas Riker.
That's funny. I have to say, I didn't like the other restaurant in the Omni either. The what was it called? Okay, not so okay. Crappy food. What was it called? It's the Tap House.
The Tap House. Yeah.
The Tap House. Yeah. Okay. It was not okay with me.
It's just very loud.
But before you get the wrong idea, I want to say the Omni was wonderful. I thought the people at the Omni were terrific. I thought the staff was great. Mm-hmm. I thought the hotel was clean and beautiful. I was very happy with the Omni. I just didn't like their restaurants, but I don't blame the Omni for that.
And they don't put you through the ringer to get a late checkout.
Exactly. They're very accommodating. Yeah. I really was very happy with them. And there was that thunderstorm the last night. Yeah. And I don't know how high your room was.
I was a couple higher than you, so I could.
And it was. I just lied on the couch and watched the storm.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful. The lightning and the thunder, and it was great. I really enjoyed it.
This is how the Midwest is.
Well, I enjoyed it briefly. I don't know how long I wanted to stay and enjoy it, but I enjoyed it while I was there.
It was a good trip and a good show, and we had a lovely time.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled, with Oklahoma politically, but when in Rome, you it just have to be, I'm there to talk about Star Trek.
Well, I'm not thrilled with Rome politically, so there you go.
Oh my God! But a lot of traveling because you were at Wonderfest and I was at the Future Space Camp, which was a pop shift event for a bunch of sci-fi showrunners. It was really interesting. A lot of other people were there, including our good friend of the show, Mike Sussman.
Yeah.
But all these different panels. It was funny. Future of Protopia, future of work and wealth, future of emotional intelligence. That's a lot of future. Emotional intelligence. I didn't go to that one because my emotional intelligence is pretty low. I don't think I could appreciate
a
that.
lot of things talking about the future. Were they like 5 minutes long?
No. That was one of the things they pointed out. Like one of the creators of Wired is a guy named Kevin Kelly. He's a futurist, and he actually had a really good, interesting panel. Which was it that I went to? Partially because it was inside and they had air conditioning, but partially because I was very interested in it. And it was called, which one was that? That was, I'm trying to remember. That was really, Towards Protopian Stories Lab. And he made the point that put yourself in, if you could go in a time capsule, go back in time, 200 years, 300 years, 100 years, just think how every 100 years, the world is a better place, regardless of how much we may be upset about things that are transpiring right now, however dark things may be. Unquestionably, the world is in a better place now than it was 100 years ago.
Absolutely.
And that's something and so it was interesting because part of this event was to help science fiction writers and TV writers to write more accurately about the future and about technology. You know who was there? Another good friend of ours, the great Rod Roddenberry.
Oh.
And because he's with the philanthropy that sponsored this. Right. And it was so good to see Rod. I hadn't seen Rod in a while. And he was terrific. Although the first day we went to this, they had this really interesting event out in the desert where we looked at all these, it was this art installation about like sort of dystopian civilizations or something taken from movie sets. But they created
That's
this
called
whole
Las Vegas, Mark.
Yeah. They created this whole audio sort of, you put headphones on, listen
like
to audio.
A guide track.
Yeah, like a guide track. But I thought it was part of the installation. They'd made it just for this event.
Huh.
And it was interesting because it was clips from all these science fiction shows, and yet no Star Trek, which I thought was very telling. In a way, it's like Star Trek is so off of people's radars right now, and it there was Blade Runner, and there was 2001, and there was a drama. I mean, like everything, but no Star Trek.
Yeah, that's a shame. And just think, they could have had for just a couple of bucks Gene Roddenberry narrate the whole thing.
That would be great. Hello, friend.
Welcome to this wonderful installation.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that would have been great. But New Orleans. We weren't in New Orleans. We were in Oklahoma City. We will be in New Orleans, July 11th to the 13th, and I'm very excited about that. Ready for some big easying.
Big easing?
Big easying. Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I mean, GalaxyCon's been on fire with these conventions lately. Yeah. These GalaxyCons have been terrific, and New Orleans is gonna be phenomenal. So many Star Trek towns.
Is the time in which we burn. No, wait.
Indeed. Yeah, and I have to say, Mike was kind enough to take us all out to a lovely dinner in
at the
Oklahoma City, at the Cattleman, named after Gene Roddenberry's pitch for a Star Trek movie, perhaps.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, okay. Wasn't the Cattleman? It wasn't named after the Cattleman?
That would have been fascinating, though, but I wouldn't have wanted to see the paintings on the walls.
You know how people ask, Phase 2 had happened, do you think Star Trek would have survived?
No.
If the Cattleman had happened, do you think Star Trek would have survived?
It would have killed at that moment.
That's so crazy. I mean, I'm a big fan of allegory and metaphor in my science fiction, but the idea of sentient cows that are being hunted by... It's just like, wow, it's a little on the nose, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing. It should be allegory and metaphor, not spot-on example.
Yeah, I wish I was a vegetarian. Can I say that? I really do. I feel guilty when I eat a good steak.
No, you don't.
I do. No, I do. I in a perfect world, I would like to just be a vegetarian, but I can't do it. I can't do it. I like steak too much.
Don't take
and I like a good burger.
Of the world.
And I like chicken.
Not your fault.
I wish I was a vegetarian, though. I'm just saying.
No, you don't.
But I'm not.
I'm
not. So anyway, so we had a great time. One of the reasons we had a great time was we got to meet one of our, childhood icons. I wouldn't say idol. He wasn't an idol, but he was an icon of our childhood.
Certainly a figurehead on the the grand pantheon of famous
heroes.
Stars on TV.
I didn't get much bigger than this, literally and figuratively. Yeah, remarkable guy. And of course, we're talking about the subject of today's episode. It isn't easy being green. Lou Ferrigno. And Lou, of course, played the role of the Incredible Hulk in the Kenneth Johnson TV series. If you're a fan of the Hulk and you haven't listened to our Kenneth Johnson interview,
go back.
You want to go back and listen to that. That was a really remarkable interview we did with Ken Johnson.
You're talking about time portals earlier. This is our time portal. And you can go back and listen to our conversation with Ed.
This is a nice companion piece to that. Because he has some good stories about shooting the film. And I have to say, Darren has some very insightful questions. It was interesting because I didn't know what to think. I didn't know if Lou was going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, it's that thing, because you hear all sorts of, horror stories about people who may not necessarily have been good at asking questions at things like this, and dealing with people who have gone through this more often than anyone and heard everything. It's
unlike Patrick Stewart, who's seen everything.
That's right, except the fifth light. But the great thing is that Lou Ferrigno couldn't have been nicer and a more engaging person to interview. It was just amazing.
Yeah, it's true. And I really enjoyed our time with Lou and his lovely fiancée. And we're very happy to have the chance to sit down with him. And, you may say, what is this doing on the Trekspert? Are you that desperate for material? No, if the fact is...
He did it. He mentioned Star Trek and said, well, you'll hear. He said what an influence it was on him when he was growing up.
Yeah.
I think that's just miraculous and wonderful, and it bears inclusion in the Treksperts feed.
Yeah, so when it was over, we looked at each other and said, that's a Trekspert.
Yeah.
So that's a Trekspert. So you get to enjoy it. But I think if you grew up or later on watched The Incredible, or you're one of our younger listeners who is not familiar, you're still going to find it very interesting because Lou talks about a lot of contemporary figures. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Darren asked him a lot about Pumping Iron, which is obviously a fascinating documentary that he was in back in the 70s, which put him and Arnold on the map.
And Mark brilliantly remembered his inclusion in The Offer and starts off the interview with that, which is a lot of fun.
How can we not? Because, Ruddy got it done.
He sure did.
Got it done. Where's Ruddy? Ruddy?
Well, Ruddy got everything done, as it turns out.
Yeah. Well, it was great because he played Luca Brasi in it, which is interesting casting. Yeah. I come to you on the... I told you this story before, but man, I gave that Luca Brasi speech one day at one of my good friends' wedding. I said, and I pray that your first child will be a masculine one, which was a Godfather reference.
Never heard that story.
Yeah, and I got hissed. by the people at the wedding. But then my friend who was getting married had to stand up and say, he's quoting the Godfather. And they're all like, oh. It was like,
he's one of those movie guys.
Yeah, because I was doing, the best man toast. Yeah. And then you say, I pray your child will be a masculine one. And everybody's like, oh, Jesus Christ. And he's like, no, he's doing the Godfather. Jesus. It's a good thing I have a thick skin.
Pearls before swine.
Yeah, that's a true story. That's a true story.
That's a true story.
Yeah, that was at Mitch Rubinstein's wedding. Okay, so anyway, without any further ado, why don't we bring in Lou Ferrigno, or as you call him, Lou Ferragamo, and
Larry King called him Lou Ferragamo.
Oh, Jesus!
And
find out why it isn't easy being green. And when we come back, we'll have a few other things to share. So don't go away. I'm Mark Altman, showrunner of Pandora, writer, producer for such shows as Librarians. I'm here with my fellow moderators, Ashley Edward Miller, writer of Thor and X-Men First Class.
Hello.
But you never wrote for the Hulk.
No, I never did.
And, of course, the concept designer of Riddick and X3 and Star Trek Picard, Darren DOCHTERMAN. So we're so delighted. We have enjoyed our next guest in so many different shows and television series. A couple of months ago, we had the chance to sit down and talk to Kenneth Johnson, who had nothing but wonderful things to say. We're going to learn a lot of great things today, and we're delighted to welcome to the stage Lou Ferrigno.
How are you, everybody?
Well, I want to ask you, Lou, something. You played Luca Brasi, Lenny Montana, recently in The Offer, which is really interesting because, of course, Luca Brasi is a famous, iconic character from The Godfather, less well known to some people. He was played by one of Columbo's monsters. Can you talk a little bit about getting that role and maybe sort of any research you did and Al Ruddy, of course, the great Al Ruddy?
Well, it was funny. Back in 1970, I think 69, I remember a bunch of friends of mine, they were having a conversation talking about The Godfather. I said, The Godfather. I'll never forget the conversation. They were talking about Brando and Lucy Brasi. So it was funny, fast forward many years later, so they approached me, they said, would you be interested in playing Lucy Brasi? I said, of course, but interesting that he was a hitman. And I think he murdered his own mother. The guy was ruthless, but he was very indebted to Columbo. So I was very honored to play the part because most people don't realize how The Godfather was made. All the threat, the studio, the fraud, all the stuff. It's amazing because when you see the series, you understand that it wasn't a piece of cake, The Godfather, to get made. It's basically a difficult film because they had to deal with the negativity, especially with the mafia, Frank Sinatra. But they finally got the movie made, one of the greatest films of all time. How Francis Ford Coppola got hired. So I was excited to play Brasi because I just watched him when I was a kid. I'll never forget, he was trying to memorize his line. I said, man, this is a big guy, the menacing guy. I wouldn't want to mess with him. So here I am, Lucy Brasi.
Was that something that came to you for an offer, or ironically, was it an offer where they cast you, or was it something you had to audition for?
Well, I auditioned for it because they contacted me because today when you do an audition, you could do it on the computer. So I put a black suit, a black tie, and then just sat in front of the computer and just read the lines, auditioned for it. My manager talked me into it. I said, Lucy Brasi, because, Paramount Studios, but then I heard about the script. I said, I have to win this audition. It was funny, to my home, I live 3.5 hours away from LA. That's the beauty about it. They hire me on the spot because that character is very close to me.
And that's, well, presumably you haven't murdered anybody, but it was very close to otherwise.
Thank you.
Not yet.
You wouldn't like him when
Okay,
he's
he's
angry.
young.
So you have a very well-documented early career, obviously, unlike a lot of people, because, of course, Pumping Iron shows you, can you talk a little bit about, some people have yearbooks, some people, have, slideshows. You have a whole movie about what that time in your life was like. When you look back at it now, what is your feeling? How do you feel about that and just the fact that you've sort of shared that with the whole world?
You talk about the docudrama Pumping Iron. Yeah. Okay, what happened though, I was about maybe 20, 21, 22. They came out with a book called Pumping Iron. It was a bestseller. You got to remember back then when people saw bodybuilding, we were considered like freak because the general public didn't know what bodybuilding was, especially if you take me, Schwarzenegger, the way we looked. It could be very intimidating. So I remember Charles Gaines and George Butler came to me. They said, we want to make this movie called Pumping Iron from the book. And we want to show the relationship, like me being the quiet guy, the kid next door, and Arnold being the arch rival. So it was a beautiful chemistry because back then, everybody had a different personality. But the interesting thing is, at the time of competition, first prize was $1,000. That was my meal intake for like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
But today, first prize is almost close to $1 million. But I remember at the time I was competing with Arnold. We were just sitting there looking at each other, and here's a man from Austria. I'm from New York. I was dealing with the speech issues, the hearing issues, and we were hoping to go somewhere, get some recognition. So when the movie came out, it basically opened the doors for a lot of people. It educated the public what bodybuilding really is. It's a very difficult sport. You got to be in shape, the heavy training. So even still today, when you watch it, even when I watch it, you get motivated, you want to go to the gym because you're talking about 50 years ago.
Were you surprised how much that movie caught on and how popular it was at the time, and obviously led to a career in entertainment? I mean, at the time, you were pursuing a career in bodybuilding, but you didn't know this would lead to entertainment. Was that did that transition catch you by surprise?
Did you know when Pumping Iron, in the post-production stage, they went bankrupt?
Oh.
If you see the making of the film, one night at the Whitney Museum in New York City, they had Arnold, all the bodybuilders, they get supposed to raise money to finance because they went bankrupt. So they finished the film. But it was interesting that at the time I did it, I just wanted to have a career as a bodybuilder because I went to the universe twice. But the beauty about Pumping Iron is that when I moved to California to train for the 1977 Mr. Olympia competition, I received a phone call, the audition for the Hulk. They wanted to replace an actor named Richard Kiel. Richard Kiel played the original Hulk. He was 7'2". He didn't fit the part. So from Pumping Iron, they realized that let's get Lou Ferrigno because he fits the Hulk. So one thing led to another.
Richard Kiel was very tall and lanky, but he wasn't a big guy. So what was it like when you met Ken Johnson? And what did he tell you? Because obviously back then in 77, the perception people had of comic books was like, well, they'd seen Batman, the TV show. They thought it was all pulpy and campy. And Ken Johnson wanted the show to be about something, but he wants you to be a big green monster week after week. What was that, your reaction? Did you jump at the opportunity? Did you have concerns?
Well, when I heard about the audition, they called me. So I went down for the audition. They said, we're going to paint you green. I said to myself, they're not painting me green. I want to get painted green. I want to go for the audition. So they talked me into it. I'll never forget when I saw Ken Johnson and Bill Bixby together. They were under a lot of stress because they were talking about shelving the pilot because they had to reshoot the entire pilot again. So I remember that time of the audition, I showed the different moves, the animalistic behavior of the Hulk. So I went home. The phone rang. Ken said, you better come back to the studio, come over the hills. I went back down. He takes me to a motorhome. He said, could you show emotions? Could you show me? Can you cry? This and that stuff. I never acted in my life. So I'm sitting on the other side of the bed trying to pretend I'm the Hulk. And then finally, he took me upstairs to meet the executives. Then they gave me the green light to film. So the next day, I got into the makeup. I was filming like 14 to 16 hours a day to finish the pilot. The first scene I did was turning over the car. You remember the very beginning scene? Yeah. Okay, that was 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I know anything about acting, about makeup, about stage light, about script, anything. I just thrown in there. It was horrific, but it was great because when they finished the first time with the makeup, I looked in the mirror and said to myself, what am I doing? My competition is 5 weeks away, and I'm looking at this monster in the mirror. I said, at the time, Spider-Man and Captain America failed at the TV series. Right. So I said, there's a chance I have to take. So I gave up training for the Mr. Olympia to focus more on that pilot. It was a big, huge gamble. But now if you look at it 50 years later, 47 years later, we had the Marvel Universe, but thanks to the Hulk, the original pilot.
What was the moment that you realized that you were a part of something special? I mean, or did that even occur to you? Was it just a gig?
Well, I realized when I was filming, they told me all the villains, like Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolfman, they were loved by people. So that gave me confidence, realized that what made the Hulk interesting was the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde fashion. Like Bill Bixby, the alter ego. That I realized that was a wonderful chemistry. That's what caught on. Especially when it came out, every single country in the world embraced the character.
Can I jump back to Pumping Iron just this once? Because I think that the dynamic between you and Arnold specifically is very interesting to watch. Because if you haven't seen it, find it, watch it. It's brilliant because you can see Arnold putting up a big front. You know, he's posturing a lot, and he's trying to psych everyone else out. And he particularly picks on you a lot because he, you know, calls you Big Louie, and he tries to put you down a bit. But you realize that's because he's nervous about you, and he's threatened by you. And it's a very interesting dynamic that is so much fun to watch.
Well, that's what helped to get the movie to receive a lot of attention, because if you hadn't had that conflict, it would be about barbell, dumbbells, working out, squatting. I mean, if you're going to watch that kind of film, you say, not for me. But the storyline,
the human,
it was the love among the camaraderie among the characters.
Yeah.
that, that even to today, like Arnold and I are good friends, but back then, he would do anything he can to win.
Yeah.
So he's trying to play the mental picture on me. I wasn't in my best shape for the competition because I was training for the superstars. But
Right.
because of filming, I figured that, it'd be a great advantage for myself. But the whole time, that's why he's a Terminator. That's who
Yeah.
he is.
Yeah.
And he's so determined to win. When you want to win a competition, you have to do what you have to do. Especially, it's not like you're playing basketball or tennis.
Right.
It's a solo sport.
Right.
So it's different. It's a different scenario.
You have to create the environment for
Yeah.
winning for yourself.
Exactly.
And you were uniquely positioned to deal with sort of, well, I don't know if abuse is the right word, because you had dealt growing up in Brooklyn with a lot of issues with bullying because of your hearing issues at the time. Did you feel that gave you a strength, not just a physical strength, but an emotional strength, which really helped you in the competitions?
Well, close to birth, I lost like 85% of my hearing. That affected my speech. I try to convince people that I didn't have a hearing problem, but a speech problem because people put me down. They used to call me Deaf Louie, Deaf Mute. So I realized I got to the point that I had a very severe love and hate relationship with my father because when I was born, I was not the perfect son. It was rejection. So I didn't want to carry his pain anymore. So basically, I said to myself, I have to fight twice as hard than the average person to succeed. So something got into me. That's why I used to read the whole comic book, like Superman comics, to escape my imagination, the pain I was going through, the rejection. I was always told, you can't. If you don't have your hearing, you can never be a police officer. You can't do this. You're not bright enough. I mean, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So when I used to read the comics, I got very obsessed with power. You see, with kids, it's all about power. That led me to bodybuilding and fitness. But thank God it gave me the wonderful genetics to be a world bodybuilding champion. But that passion in me gave me that drive. I knew it was the antidote for my pain. I said to myself, it's such a good feeling. Even though all the naysayers said to me, why are you working out? You're never going to make money as a bodybuilder. You're never going to be in the magazine. All you talk about barbell, dumbbells, looking at men, naked men with posing trunk, oiled up, looking in the mirror. I didn't care because, and then especially I would go around eating like a bodybuilder, like eating different kind of food, especially growing up in the Italian neighborhood. I mean, hard-boiled eggs, salad, just with a little olive oil and vinegar. Everybody else eating pasta. So that evolution just went on, and then what I'm now, it's all about passion. That's why every one of you, if you have a passion, embrace it, because that's what makes you powerful. It doesn't matter if you're a businessman, if you want to sell shoes, I mean, electronic equipment, something that you're passionate about. That's the most powerful thing to have. And especially, I've learned to compete with myself. When you compete with others, you lose. You want to maximize, be the best you can with your own capacity with yourself. That's what makes life rich.
So let's talk about the being in a solo sport aspect of it. Because when you're in a solo sport, obviously there are people who train alongside you. You don't train as a team, but it's really about you and your willpower and every day getting up and doing something new and different to advance your personal goal in your sport. But there have to be days when your body says, I really don't want to. And you have to find a way to convince your body to summon that will to do the thing that you need to do. Like, how did you contend with those days? How did you get past those moments? Or did you not have those moments when your body said, maybe not today?
Well, I would just sit, for example, lay back and say to myself, when I go on stage to compete, if I'm not 100% of my best, it's my fault. So I would get up and say to myself, I'm tired. I go do what I have to do to train, no matter what, because that's what it takes to be a world champion. Like if you take Michael Jordan, every time he played practice game, he played just as hard when he played a competitive game. The same thing. And the beauty about a solo sport, you got to remember one thing. You take Tiger Woods. That man's hitting a golf ball in front of the whole world. It's all about isolating yourself. I mean, you got eyes on him, everyone, millions and billions of people. It's only him hitting the golf ball because he has to isolate himself and block everything out. That's why solo sport, that's what it takes. I mean, especially not a team sport, but mostly solo sport. Like bodybuilding, you're on stage, you got to be tan, you got to be the best condition of your life the day of the competition. You got to have a posing routine. You got to have the right music. I mean, any flaws you have, you lose points. That's why many times I would say to myself, if I feel a little lazy, I would say to myself, it's only me. You have to take action. Nobody else can pat you on the back and say, listen, you can get a support group, but only you can make that move. Only you can make that decision to be a world champion. You have to love pain to be a world champion. I don't mean physical pain. I mean the pain. I mean, nothing comes easy in life. Like, if you want to be a great actor, good actor, you have to study, you have to work your ass off. That's what it takes. That's what life's all about.
Can you tell us, during the production of The Hulk, and the day that Mr. Rogers came to visit, because that is one of the most memorable episodes that he did, lifting the veil off the magic of the Hulk and taking some of the fear away from kids. How was that for you?
Well, I used to watch the show when I was young.
Sure.
When he came to the set, Bill Bixby said to me, Mr. Rogers coming. I said, are you kidding me? when he came down, of course he wears his sweaters, and he talks in a very soft tone. It was a wonderful mentor. When he came to the motorhome, it was just me and him in the motorhome. I mean, I was like ecstatic. I was like, this is fantastic, because I remember watching him on TV.
Sure.
By myself, with all these different handicaps, saying to myself, I wish I could be someone. And suddenly you fast forward 10 years later, he's with me in my motorhome. It's a beautiful moment, especially that he captured the personality of the creature side of the Hulk, not the menacing side.
Yeah. And it's strange how he is exactly the same in person as he was on television.
Yes.
There was no difference. And it's just seeing that with you and he in the motorhome is so magical, and it brings a tear to my eye even now.
Thank you.
You mentioned earlier that they had a lot riding on the Hulk, that the show could have easily the pilot could have been canceled or never aired, because unless they found the right guy to play the Hulk, and Bill Bixby and Kenneth Johnson, there was so much riding on you, and you pull it off. And it's remarkable, because, of course, when we think of the Hulk, people think of you. I wonder if you can talk a little about the experience of working on that show over the course of several years, and of course your friendship with Bill Bixby, who was such a wonderful man who died way too young. And even though you didn't share many scenes together for obvious reasons, you worked together, and he was a really terrific mentor, as well as as an actor.
It's funny, when I filmed the Hulk, it's not just the makeup. I had the contact lens, I had peephole vision. I had to do 100% of all my own stunts, going through windows, walls, and everything, being retouched. It was probably one of the most difficult things I've done. But Bill gave me all the confidence, because when I came on the set, Bill did different TV series, like The Courtship of Eddie's Father, My Favorite Magician. So he's one of my favorite actors. So I remember I was on the set, I watched him, I studied him, because he said to me one time, I'll never forget the day you came on the set. The first day, you were looking at all the walls of the studio, the big camera truck driving by, like a little kid in another world. And he took me under his wing, because Bill was a wonderful producer, actor, and director. So he's almost like a second father to me, because when you film a TV series, you spend more time on a series than your spouse, your wife, and it was like sometimes 60 hours a week. So I learned so much from him, because he told me what it's like to be a professional. Be on time, be on the set, know your lines, because so many actors today, they get lazy, and then they'll appreciate, respect their craft like the way Bill and I did.
And back then, of course, they're shooting with film. There's not usually multiple cameras back then. It's one camera shooting on film. What you said about not having a stunt double. How do you find a stunt double for Lou Ferrigno? It's impossible. So the amount of time and work that you put into that, and creating a character. I mean, that's why I think when they did the later Hulks, and you have a cameo in all those films, I mean, it's because there's so much reverence for what you created that, you didn't need CGI. You just needed Lou Ferrigno.
It's funny, when I used to read the comic when I was young, always in the left-hand corner it said, written by Stan Lee. Now, I read Hulk comics before I discovered Muscle Magazine, bodybuilding. So I had tons and tons of magazines. I remember one day they said to me, Stan Lee's on the set. I said, Stan Lee? I didn't know, I thought he was a ghostwriter. I remember when I first met him, I was still taken back. I said to him, what's it for you? I wouldn't be here. But he had a kind of a funny voice. I go, why don't you work out sometime? What's wrong with you? And then eventually he ended up having a couple cameos in my series. Like, for example, one of my favorite shows is the Trial of the Hulk, where Bill on the jury.
Yeah.
And the lawyers, don't get me started with lawyers, but lawyers saying, pounding on him, and suddenly you see him become the Hulk, and he grabs the lawyer. Like, it's great because all our demon, our anger, is brought out with the series. Doctors, lawyers, you name it. It's fun because
Excelsior!
exactly.
And of course, you leverage the success of the Hulk playing other, sort of iconic characters. Look, Hercules was a movie you did, I think it was in '83, for the infamous Golden Globus. You shot, I think, in Europe. Can you tell us anything about the crazy Golden Globus and, what that experience was like for you?
It was a lot of fun for me because immediately after the Hulk was canceled, they offered me Hercules. I've always wanted to play Hercules because I followed the original Hercules TV. We had a chance to film in Rome, Italy, the catacomb, but I was so excited because the character was not green.
Right.
And they could see my definition better on the screen because as the Hulk with the paint, it would hide my definition. So I enjoyed that film, and then I've done the Magnificent Gladiator, Sinbad. It was fun. It gave me a chance to get into the feature film instead of just a TV series to reach out, branch out.
And then also, the Hulk was still a part of your life in addition to the other TV movies they did. You were often asked early on with the Marvel to do the efforts, the distinctive growls and animalistic sounds that the Hulk made. And then, you returned for these 2 cameos as well in the Hulk movies. Can you talk a little bit about, sort of being the then elder statesman of Hulkdom?
Well, I eventually did the voice and everything, and then the animated cartoon. And then eventually I did the voice for the movie itself, and then also that work with Stan Lee. Then I ended up doing Adventure Time because I've always wanted to do the voice of the Hulk for the series. But I think, when you're young, it's not deep enough. But now I know how the Hulk thinks and feels. But I don't know if you ever do a voiceover, it's very difficult because you're by yourself. It's not like doing this scene. Only you.
It's a solo sport.
There you go. Exactly. I like that word.
And, you may have sworn to never go green again, but yet somehow you got talked into doing a Green Orion slave master in one of the Star Trek fan films. Can you tell us how that happened and how you got convinced to hit the green paint again?
Well, what's interesting, I was a huge fan of the original Star Trek series. Of course, William Shatner, Captain Kirk, one of my favorite characters. That show only ran for like maybe 2 years. But the Orion race, they were 3 years. They were green.
Right.
So there was a friend of mine I worked with. His name was Vic Magana. He had an online TV series, Star Trek, continued. He came to me. He said, there's a wonderful character you can play called Zamahan. I said, really? This and that. He said, we'll have to get into paint the green. I said, here we go again. So I fly to Florida. He had a set in Florida. I remember I went through the whole makeup process. I had 5 little fans blowing on me because of humidity. I wasn't trying not to sweat because I had a bald cap. But what I love about the character, this slave trader, he's a vicious animal, ferocious. So I had a chance to play that character to show the evil side. It was fun because even now, that's why Star Trek all these years became such a huge phenomenon. But I never forget the original series, the Orion race. I used to watch William Shatner. And it's great that William Shatner is still here with us. He's 94.
94 and looks
And he's
great.
signing autographs. I mean, think about it. Back then, when he did Star Trek, he was living out of his car. Yeah. I mean, you got
Early 70s, yeah.
incredible, coming a long way. But his show, this was at the time before Star Wars.
Yeah.
At the time, it's the first science fiction space series.
Yeah. And so, you've played all these different characters, but it seems in the last couple of years, one of the most popular characters you've played is yourself. You keep recurring as Lou Ferrigno in various capacities. Can you tell us a little bit about getting pigeonholed as Lou Ferrigno in the movies and TV?
Well, I did a movie with Rodney Dangerfield and Dom DeLuise. So one night, the producers from King and Queens were watching the show. They said, why not bring Lou out to the show as a guest? And they gave me the script to play yourself. I said, fine. Because in real life, people say they make Hulk jokes. They call me the Hulk. I could do 5 Gone with the Wind movies now. I'll still be known as the Hulk. so they incorporated that into the series. And it's wonderful because people see it like everyday life. I could do the same thing every day. It's nice. But the thing about King and Queen is in front of a live audience. When you do comedy, it's very difficult because you can't really be funny. You have to adapt to the character. and the audience knows that you only have 1 or 2 takes. But the actors I've worked with, they were so delicious, like Kevin James, Lee Remini, Jerry Stiller. So it was a wonderful experience because I was on the show as a neighbor, but then it became a recurring role. But then after that became the movie I Love You Man. The same thing. They're trying to sell my house. I hate the real estate guy. You can see in the movie I put him in a chokehold. So it's nice, but we go through that. Everyday life, that's why it's about imperfection.
And one of the things you did for a long time too was as a personal trainer to many celebrities, including Michael Jackson. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Maybe some of the more interesting experiences you've had as a trainer?
Well, Michael can't train in a gym, normal gym. And Michael can't drive a car. Can you imagine having an accident with Michael Jackson?
I'm really sorry.
I know. Anyway, his doctor called me, Dr. Steve Hoffman, super nice guy, plastic surgeon. He said Michael needs some training and get over his, stretching and stabbing and that stuff. So he brings Michael to my house. I remember Michael, I admire his passion for music. He admired my passion for physical fitness. We became good friends because Michael felt safe with me. But he would come to me 10 o'clock at night. One night he came to me, he had gloves on, he had a mask and a hat. 10 o'clock at night, he came to my gym and back at my house. I said, why are you wearing a mask? He said, I want people to stare at me. I said, Michael, my dog don't even know you're here.
Right.
It's 10 o'clock at night. There's not a person on the street. But it was great because we were very, very close. I trained on and off for years. But, it's amazing. I trained Mickey Rourke, Chuck Norris. I trained so many different celebrities. It's nice because you get to see the other side of the person.
Right.
What they really like is interesting. And especially when they come to me, they know they have to produce results because
Right.
I don't train people and just take their money. I demand results.
Yes.
So,
And they wouldn't like you when you're angry.
exactly. you know what's great about training? When you work out, you can't take your anger around the weights, the barbells, and dumbbells. They're going to hit you back.
Yeah.
So if I have a client I'm training and they're being mean towards me, taking their frustration, I just say increase the weight. 10 more, 8, 7, 6. Come on, 4 more.
That's great. Well, I know you guys have some questions, so if you want to line up by the microphone over here, we'd love to hear what you have to ask.
Don't be shy. Really, don't be shy.
Look, he's really nice. You don't need to be scared.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. Okay, you can hear me. So I had read somewhere when you first started deciding you wanted to get stronger, you used a broomstick and a couple of buckets of cement. Is that true?
Yes.
Wow.
I used to get different pails. I used to feel sometimes the pail 1/3, 1/2. I made different barbells, and I put the broomstick in the middle. But the hardest thing for me when I used to do curls with the broomstick, sometimes the pail would spin and then it would fall off the stick. So I tried to keep the balance because I couldn't afford weight.
Yeah.
But it just shows you how bad you want to have barbells and dumbbells. That's when I improvise.
That's awesome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
You know, there's a woman here. She's a huge fan of mine. She's my future wife. I want you to say hello to her. This woman is one of the biggest fans. She loves the Hulk. Whole family flying down. They're so excited. Lisa said, yeah. But we share a lot of different stories about the Hulk. Yeah. And she likes everything she sees about the Hulk, she collects.
So, Lisa, is Lou as nice off stage as he is on stage?
I'll pay you later.
Yes, sir.
I was just going to ask you if you were still friends with Shatner in real life and also Schwarzenegger.
Oh, yeah, I see Shatner from time to time. And Arnold, I played chess with him about 8 months ago. I went to his house because, we reminisce about old time.
Sure.
And especially, I think, what's funny? What Arnold accomplished, what I've done, like now we look back at our careers, where we came from, we had nothing. When you grow over the years, like, for example, you become competitive, different sports, different challenges. Like, for example, Arnold couldn't be 70, I'm 73. You talk about the accomplishment and you appreciate how much you've done for life, for the world and everything. But it's fun. But Shatner's another one, especially his age now, 94, he goes to space. He comes down, he's still signing autographs. I mean, I heard when he went to space, the next day he was signing autographs again.
Yeah.
I mean, think about this. That's incredible, especially that when he started, they didn't have Comic Cons. They had like convention, but like comic book convention. Now what you call Comic Con. That's pop culture. You bring family, you bring kids. The old days you had your comic convention. Like for example, you take Adam West, the original Batman. He would go on stage as Batman, and Fred Ward would dress as Robin to sell autographs, because in those days they were desperate to make money. But now, because of the pop culture, these conventions, you can actually enjoy it, make a good living, and interact with the fans, because especially that you're talking about decades of fan base. It's amazing.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Hello. So I know the Hulk show was, kind of before my time. Not just, I don't want to be rude about that. But when you were asked to do like the voiceover for the MCU, the Hulk, I know you did a cameo prior to that, but what kind of got you, I know there wasn't much, but did you ever feel overwhelmed because you knew the Avengers was like a huge part of pop culture at the time? And how did you kind of get into character and kind of balance yourself out for that role?
You mean, you mean adapting to the role?
Correct, yeah. Just with how huge it was going to be, unless you didn't know how huge it was going to be.
Well,
I just didn't know if you felt overwhelmed.
Well, the thing at the beginning, you got to remember, as an actor, you have to be attracted to the character. That's important, because it's not just putting the makeup on and just go out and making different sounds, because I have to show a lot of feeling, like pantomime, without speaking. But then I was so overwhelmed because I had no idea what it would launch. Because in those days, like today, you have all these fine actors playing the Avenger Endgame, like Anthony Hopkins, the finest actors in the world. But the whole changed, because over the years, what kept the Hulk alive, my physicality too, with traveling, promotion, especially with these different countries. I mean, it's still, even today, it's overwhelming, especially like almost 50 years later, that it's more popular than ever, especially the whole genre.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
And it's interesting you talked about with Arnold that you have such a great relationship now. It's because you also shared something that most people can't relate. You went through this shared experience that only you guys can really understand what it was like at that time to live that life. So,
Well, you know, it's funny, Arnold's father was a captain of the police department. My father was a lieutenant. We have both had strict upbringing. That's why 20 years ago, I was talking to the sheriff in L.A. I said, I'd love to be a police officer. He said, why don't you go through the academy? Because I didn't want to be the honorary. I went through the academy, the shooting, the driving. I became a certified deputy sheriff. But it's funny how when you were young, you had this different dream, and sometimes people have dreams, and they just to think about it. But my life, for example, any dream I had, I go after it because that's what I wanted to be. So it's interesting that I personally became a police officer because my father said I could never amount to anything. So it was almost like, screw you, I'm a police officer now, you're a cop, but I became a sheriff.
What did you think when they told you were going to fight a bear? When you were going to fight the bear in the TV series?
What did you think when you were
going
to fight the bear?
That was a nightmare, because the bear getting green makeup on his face. We had to feel the warmest. We had to shoot the scene over and over, because it was a trained bear, like a baby bear, like weighs 600 pounds. But because of the makeup, so that poor bear that I keep wiping his face every day, taking the makeup off. We were in that water for maybe like 8 to 10 hours. The wig would fall off. I look like a bald coat jacket. Oh yeah, I mean on and on.
So the bear didn't have a stunt double?
No, unfortunately, no. But I'll tell you one thing. It's almost like you're working with a wall. I mean, it was like 7 feet tall, weighs 700 pounds. It was a trained bear. But I mean, when they say trained, but still, I was a little nervous because, I mean, one movement of the arm, they could just rip you to pieces.
The only
that your
character on the series that was bigger than you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hi, this might kind of be a dumb question, but I was just wondering, what kind of music did you listen to, like, in the gym?
You know, I really never listened to music because of my hearing situation. Because when I was younger, when I go to a gym, I could not wear hearing aids, because hearing aids today waterproof. In those days, if I had any perspiration, I couldn't hear. So I would go to the gym. I would be in a silent world. That's why it gave me incredible focus to train and work out. Now, if I go to the gym now, like for example, if I train home to Lisa, she puts all kinds of music on, right? You know, upbeat music, and it's nice. I can listen to it, but it's hard for me to differentiate the words because of my hearing situation. But I love music. But in those days when I trained in the gym, I didn't wear hearing aids. But I remember sometimes I see people in the gym listen to music. Music's beautiful. But for me, I made the decision to use my own mental capacity to entertain myself.
Thank you.
So you could sort of say that your hearing loss was a benefit to you to help you focus on your goals.
If I didn't have this hearing problem, I wouldn't be where I am today because I took negative to positive. I took the hard road because I used the other qualities of myself. Like, for example, sometimes you lose something, you gain something. Like I have a greater sense of smell, greater sense of intuition about people. Everybody has a different gift.
So you should have played Daredevil. No.
Hey, Daredevil was in one of the movies.
Lou, I want to let you know it's a pleasure to actually get the chance to talk to you. I was 3 when The Incredible Hulk came out. And I watched it. That was one of the shows my parents let me watch. I really enjoyed that show. You know, I'm a kid who grew up with Star Wars. Star Trek wasn't available in my area until I was about 13. So I didn't have a chance to watch it. Become a big fan of that, obviously. So when I was watching Star Trek Continues, I was watching it when it came out. And when you first showed up in there, I thought, who is this guy? I have no idea who he is. They're showing an impressive entrance for him. Had no idea who you were till you spoke. And then I was like, that's Lou Ferrigno. I'm amazed. I was so ecstatic to see you being in an episode of Star Trek. And they already asked the questions I was going to ask, but I'll ask you an additional one. A couple of years ago, we got to go to Kingsland, Georgia, where they had the sets for Star Trek Continues. And they had a fan event. And apparently the actors who were involved would show up there. Got to meet Vic then. They relocated that. Have you ever done any of the fan events for the Star Trek Continues sets? Or would you do
No.
Okay. Would you do them in the future, possibly?
Oh, sure. By the way, StarTrekContinue.com is online for free. The name of the show I did called Episode 2, Lolani.
Lolani, yes.
Check it out because when you first see it, you don't know it's me because, you know, when you see the character, it's interesting, but basically...
You had a goatee, you had beads
exactly.
hanging on the goatee and off your ears, skull cap and everything. Yeah.
I played my father.
Nice.
Yeah, we are going to catch up with you and get an autograph later. That's what I brought for you to autograph is the Blu-ray copies I've got of that. Because,
Sure.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
So, well, thank you, Lou. You've been a huge part of my life. I want you to know I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hello. I've been a huge fan ever since I was a little kid, and I actually met you once before. This is a picture from the late 80s. We were at Disney World, and you were signing an autograph for me right here. And
Wow.
so can attest to your kindness. You were eating dinner, and we waited for you outside the hotel, and you took the time to sign autographs for me and my family.
And then you pounced.
Yeah, well, that's right. I think he was a little intimidated, you know, by my size.
No doubt.
Yeah,
Yes.
but yeah.
Wow, that's a great story. Thank you.
Thank.
So, other than the bear that you had to fight, which sounds fairly scary, you know, they made you do all of your own stunts. Were there any other moments where you're like, oh, clearly, obviously, I'm going to die today?
Yeah. There's one episode I did when I had to face the bull. We call that in the arena. They have
but bullfighting.
Yeah.
Okay. They brought a boat onto the set. It's a truth. The boat was drugged. Now, I was standing. You know, you see this wall. Believe it or not, they had a wall behind me, but they keep all the cattle, everything. The wall had to be maybe about this high, right? So they had these two cowboys on 2 horses with rope to the boat hind legs. So the boat kind of laying down, and you could tell it's really drugged. During the scene, I had to actually walk up as the Hulk and grab the horn, kind of pretending I'm holding the boat down. So so they gave me the go-ahead. So I'm walking closely. The boat's like completely drugged, completely. and the two guys basically were holding the boat tight. So I'm walking towards the boat. Suddenly, when I went to grab the horn, his eyes opened, and he started to almost lunge towards me. Till today, I don't know how I went over that wall. Over the wall, I remember.
As it turned out, the drug
I was
they gave
terrified. but let me tell you this. It's a good thing I made the movement because that ball went forward 6 feet. He literally dragged both horses.
Sure.
I could have been killed.
My
Yes.
goodness. Were you ever injured on set?
No.
Thank God.
That's amazing.
But I've been injured offset.
Well,
Doing stupid.
doing stupid things.
As
Yeah,
opposed to
exactly.
the really smart thing like pissing
Exactly.
off a bull. Yeah.
Right.
Well, you get the last question.
I remember watching when I was a kid in the 80s, Incredible Hulk. It was great. Was there ever, what are you, looking back on that show, I know you did all your own stunts. Was there one that you just like absolutely, it was like your absolute favorite stunt to do?
You know, besides the show showing the laser component method, there was one show, there was a father abusing his son. He beat his son physically. And you can see the Hulk where he's doing the same thing to Bill Bixby. Then you see in the gymnasium, Bill becomes the Hulk. And you can see the Hulk actually throwing the father against the wall. The father's trying to hit the Hulk, and the Hulk is just basically just push him through the fence when the father broke down and realized that he was having a problem with his father, but he apologized to his son. That's one of my favorite shows because it shows you about bullying. And you learn a good lesson with the Hulk because you can't bully the Hulk.
Thank you very much.
Well, we're so grateful, Lou. He'll be at his booth answering questions, signing autographs. He'll be here all weekend. So we thank you for being with us, and I know that you have an announcement.
So if the GalaxyCon
See, we told you that was a good interview. You didn't believe us, but it was.
I
He
think
was
some
interesting.
People, some people believed us.
Yeah, not everyone, though. They were still wondering, should they order Chipotle from DoorDash? And I say, no. Don't do it.
Someday you'll be able to say that word. Not today.
Chipotle. Chipotle.
Chipotle.
Chipotle.
Chipotle.
Yeah, okay.
You
I've never been able to
than me.
pronounce that. Anyway.
They're old chicken.
They're old chicken, the ones who made us. Okay. I think Ruck made the chicken. It's been sitting around for a while. Anyway, the one thing obviously Lou alludes to is having been in a Star Trek fan film where he played an Orion trader.
Yes.
He talks about how the sets are around. Of course, the sets that you should be checking out are the ones
Are
in
the fully
Ticonderoga.
licensed ones up in Ticonderoga, New York, and the other guys have gotten a ton of cease and desist letters.
And I will tell you this:
studio.
I don't care about the license part. I care that it's
Well, I do.
authentic. I care
do,
that it's
'cause
authentic.
They pay a lot of money for that license.
I care that it's authentic. I care that it's made with love. I care that they do right by Star Trek. I care that they care. I care that it's, that their heart is in the right place. And it just so happens it's licensed too, which is great. But, I just think that everything they do for you.
Well, that's true.
It's true. They care so much.
Just like Kevin Costner as Robin Hood.
And just like Kevin Costner as Robin Hood. And you're going to sing now?
No.
Okay.
I won't need to because you
Bryan Adams,
said the
right?
lyrics.
Bryan Adams. So, if you want to check out authentic, licensed, but it so much transcends that. It's so perfect, and the heart and soul of so many people has gone on to building these and maintaining them and growing them. That you want to check out the official Star Trek set tour in Ticonderoga. I'm dying to go back. Darren's going to be back later this month, actually, with the great Bill Shatner. I need to make plans to go back because I need to go back. It's like Lost. I got to go back to the island. So,
or it's like what is it? The thing from Generations. The
Nexus. Yeah, it's like the Nexus. Yeah, but I'm not going to say that.
No, you. Why would you?
I'm not going to compare it to the Nexus.
But
it's like but it is like being wrapped in joy.
That's right. I have to go back because Bill Shatner needs me. The captain needs me.
He needs you. I need you badly.
He said so.
Yeah. Well, no, not only did he say that, he said to me, he called you that silver-haired devil.
I gotta follow up on that sometime because I don't want to be a devil. I'm no devil, Jim.
No, he means that they say there's no devil, Jim, but there is. I've seen
But there
him.
is. I've seen him.
Straight out of Ticonderoga. Oh my
no,
God.
Even if Shatner isn't there, you should go and visit because
Yeah, I'm not waiting to go necessarily with Bill. I
it
mean,
is truly. No, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to our audience.
oh, sorry.
I know
Sorry,
you.
Stig,
I
Rick.
know you will go there again one day.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I love that place. I love that place. I really. I'm
It's
just kind of waiting
truly
until I
the
can
field
take my
of
son.
dreams. It's the field of dreams for Star Trek fans.
Oh my gosh! Speaking of which, it was so funny. I was at an award show for my son's debate team, and the teacher who's just a phenomenal AP world history instructor. But he's talking about something. I forget in what context because like in that old movie, if you build it, they will come. So afterwards, I went up to him. I said, I think you're an amazing teacher. I think you are a mentor. I think everything you do is great. But today, I finally found your Achilles heel. I said, Field of Dreams is not an old movie. The Lady Eve is an old movie. Modern Lights is, The Kid is a old movie. The Magnificent Ambersons is an old movie. Field of Dreams is not an old movie.
Yeah.
Don't call it an old movie. He said, "Oh, your wife just said that too." It was so funny that we just said it. Yeah, so it was just so funny.
Oh, that's so sad. How old is this teacher? In his 30s?
Yeah, he's probably in his 30s. Yeah. Really smart guy, just great. And,
yeah, well, not that
but
smart.
To call Field of Dreams old, it just breaks my heart.
Oh,
that makes The Natural even older.
Oh my goodness, it's all relative though.
Wonder Boy. That's what Shatner should have called you, Wonder Boy.
Well,
Darren's by Wonder Boy.
Welcome to the majors. Devil. Welcome to the majors, Mr. Doctorman.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You just point. There you go, right there. Okay. Well, listen, it was fun bringing you Lou Ferrigno. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We really did enjoy it. And we're going to be back with Ashley for an all-new episode of the Inglorious Treksperts next week. But we're going to be traveling a lot this summer. Hopefully, we'll be able to stay on schedule. Who knows?
It's a jam-packed schedule.
It's a jam-packed schedule. We're all going to be in New Orleans July 11th through 13th with
Dana Gould.
And Dana Gould, Dr. Z, with a bunch of great Star Trek stars and a bunch of non-Star Trek stars.
More Star Trek stars than there are in the heavens.
And obviously, a lot of great meals are coming, baby. A lot of good meals. So you want to check that out. Then Darren's going to be down in Raleigh, North Carolina, July 24th to 27th. Meanwhile, Ashley and I will be at San Diego Comic-Con that weekend.
Yep.
And I'm very excited to, for that, obviously. Ashley will be the sole representative of the Treksperts at San Jose, August 15th to the 17th, since Darren will be up at Ticonderoga, in Ticonderoga, New York, making his triumphant return to Ticonderoga. And then we will all be in Des Moines for GalaxyCon Des Moines, September 12th to the 14th. I guess we'll go back to Zombie Burger because it was the only place that was edible. And then guess what, St. Louis? We're coming for you. Coming for you, St. Louis, October 10th, October 12th, for another fabulous GalaxyCon. And of course, I missed the big one 007, coming up in August. It's Creations Trek to Vegas. And once again, the Treksperts are bringing you a action-packed 4 days of Trekication on the Trekspert stage and the DeForest Kelley Theater. You do not want to miss that.
Not to be confused with the Deforestation Theater, which is down the road.
The Deforestation Theater. Oh my God. That's terrible.
It is. Don't go there.
That's terrible. Okay. And of course, I want to remind you all that the 4:30 movie is back. So if you can't get enough of us on this podcast, you want to check out the 4:30 movie. We've got some great new episodes and in our new season. So check us out before the season's over.
And because melching.
Yeah, melching. Melshi. I thought Melshi was based on Steve Melching because, of course, Steve Melching worked on Clone Wars and Rebels, and I thought, maybe Melshi in Rogue One was based on Steve Melching, but it wasn't. But I choose to believe.
Or at least Steve won't admit to it. Let's just put it that way.
Well, he's not Scottish.
Isn't he?
Well, everybody has a little Scots in him. If I know engineers, they love to change things. Inglorious Treksperts is a production of the Trekspert Podcast Network. Mark Altman, Darren Doctorman, Ashley Miller, our executive producers, Pete Holmstrom, Brian Mix. Our producers, Mark Rivera is our audio sound mixer. John Carney is our social media manager. Inglorious Treksperts, copyright 2025 by Trekspert Plus, available wherever you listen to podcasts and on video on Spotify and YouTube. You can review Inglorious Treksperts wherever you listen and share your thoughts with us on your favorite social media platform or via email at trekspertsplus@gmail.com, or even better, on the Inglorious Treksperts Discord channel. Hey, I haven't been on there lately. I need to get back on that.
I'm on there every day.
Oh, good for you. Good for you.
It is. We get little trickles of replies and discussion.
I got to get back on there. We just don't promote it enough is the problem. I mean,
Well,
you
that's
know,
true.
yeah, we got to promote it more. Yeah, so there you go. That's all I'm going to say for today. Other than Darren, it's delightful seeing you. And
Indeed.
you know, if
And
Ashley can't
you.
make these things, that's his problem. Okay, so on that note, I will see you next week. Ashley will be back for an all new episode, and we'll be glad to have him. We're Ship with the Missing Man, and
We'll be back together in the next episode.
yeah, we'll be reunited, and it'll feel so good. So keep on trekking, ingloriously, of course.